All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my thoughts on Ben Johnson becoming the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. So it's official. Ben Johnson, former offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, is staying put in the NFC North, but he's jumping ship to the Chicago Bears to become their next head coach. So 48 hours after the Lions lost the Commanders in a divisional round, Ben Johnson took this job to become the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, as a Lions fan, you have to be heartbroken over a lot of things over the last few hours in your football world because you lost at home to the Washington Commanders in a divisional round, and your team was 15-2 this year. They were good enough to get back to the NFC Championship and possibly make their first Super Bowl appearance. But then 48 hours later, you lose your offensive-minded coordinator and Ben Johnson, an offensive guru, lose him to a divisional foe in the Chicago Bears. He takes the job to be the next Chicago Bears head coach. I'm telling you guys, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, when I seen Dan Quinn, our former defensive coordinator, go to being the Washington Commanders' next head coach, that spoke volumes to me. And look where they are this year. And I'm not saying Ben Johnson is going to be in an NFC Championship game next year with the Bears, but that speaks volumes of him jumping ship, being that confident to play Dan Campbell and this Detroit Lions team twice a year. So it's crazy and bizarre, but this is the NFL. But this is a great hire by the Bears. Ben Johnson was the best guy, the best candidate on the board, and they snagged him. And Ben Johnson has the chance to bring some life back to Chicago for football. He has a chance to work with Caleb Williams, develop him, help him groom him as possibly become one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. That's his goal. We'll see if that happens. But he does have some playmakers out in Chicago on the offensive side of the ball. He has Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Odunze. We'll see if they bring back Keenan Allen. We'll see what they do with their offensive line. But he's going to be bringing in Dennis Allen as well. He's looking to do that. Dennis Allen, former head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And we know the work that he's done as a defensive-minded guy with that New Orleans Saints defense over the years. That tremendous defense that he's coached year in and year out. So this looks like a really good offseason so far that has not even officially begun for the Chicago Bears. You get your right guy. If he brings in Dennis Allen, that defense that has already been a strong point for this team over the last few years, it even gets better with a defensive-minded guy like that and Dennis Allen. Things are looking good for them. But I think Ben Johnson's potential, he could be the next Sean McVay or the next Kyle Shanahan because he's already got the smarts and he's already a tremendous play caller. He's just showed he's been one of the best play callers in football over the last 2 years. He can get to that level one day. I'm not saying it's going to be hard, and it might take a year or two for the Chicago Bears to be a competitive team out there in the NFC. But if he's built for the atmosphere out in Chicago in a big market, he could live up to those guys' names that I just said of a Sean McVay, a Kyle Shanahan, that are offensive gurus, but have their team in contention year in and year out and being competing against the best of the best in the NFL. I think Ben Johnson has the capability of getting to that level one day. Now, I really thought that Ben Johnson was actually going to go to the Raiders because how much steam that was picking up. We saw Tom Brady was very interested. We know Tom Brady's a part owner with the Las Vegas Raiders now. He was very interested in Ben Johnson, talked very highly of him on Fox. Hell, at times during the Lions and Commanders game, he had to stop himself because he had to talk from an unbiased standpoint about the game because of how much he wanted Ben Johnson to be the next Raiders head coach. But as that was picking up steam, I thought that might have been where he was going to go. But I think he picked the right choice here. I mean, we all know the Dallas Cowboys weren't ever going to go after Ben Johnson because Jerry Jones just doesn't have the cojones or the brain cells at this point to make the right moves for what's actually best for the team. So Ben Johnson's look at what was out there, the Bears, the Jaguars, the Raiders, this was his best choice. So I think as long as things get better and the front office actually does their job out there in Chicago, giving them the right pieces, the right tools to succeed, we'll see what type of leader Ben Johnson is when he has to control a team and not just have to control his offensive guys, all 11 of his guys, an offensive huddle and play calling wise. So we'll see what's next for him. But for the Lions, it looks like they're set to lose Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. And it's going to be tough to see for them because this reminds me of a situation where the Eagles lost Shane Steichen and the other guy, I can't remember his name, but he's the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals right now. But it sucks when you lose both your offensive and defensive coordinator in the same offseason. It seems like Aaron Glenn could possibly be hired by the New York Jets, the New Orleans Saints, or somebody very soon. So it seems like the Lions are set to lose both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn this offseason. But those are my thoughts on Ben Johnson signing with the Chicago Bears to be their next head coach.